It is 5:30. If we could call the regular board meeting of the Amherst Exempted Village Board of Education to order on July 25th. If we could all please stand and pledge the flags that are on the monitors in the room. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you please call the roll?
Mr. Engel.
Present.
Mrs. Gillis. Here. Dr. Messer. Present. Mrs. Wacholz. Mr. Zappa.
Here. Item 4 on the agenda this evening is to make a recommendation to adopt the agenda as it is presented, including any addendums, and I don't believe there's been any addendums since the last version. We have a motion and a second, please. Second. Is there discussion or comments on any of that? Hearing or seeing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Dr. Messer. Aye. Mrs. Wacholz. Mr. Engel.
Item 5 this evening would be board recommendation. The board does have 2 recommendations this evening on the agenda. The first one would be 5A, and that would be that we are going to approve the revised appointment of Michael Molnar as superintendent to be effective August 1st versus December 1st. I'd entertain a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Is there discussion or comments on that motion? Hearing or seeing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mrs. Wacholz. Aye. Dr. Messer. Aye. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Mr. Engel.
The second item this evening for the board recommendation would be that the Board of Education approve the revised resignation date for Steve Sayers to be effective July 31st, 2022 versus December 31st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So.
Second. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion or comments on that? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Dr. Messer. Aye. Mrs. Wacholz. Aye. Mr. Engel.
The other item that the board has on the agenda this evening is item C, which is we'd like to approve 2 carryover days for the treasurer to be used in August of 22 that she was unable to use this month in July. I entertain a motion for that, please.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Motion and a second. Is there discussion or comments on that? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mrs. Wacholz. Dr. Messer. Aye. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Mr. Engel.
Item 6 on tonight's agenda would be hearing of the public. I don't believe anyone has signed up to address us this evening.
No.
Nobody, correct? Okay. With that, we move right on to item number 7 on the agenda, which would be the treasurer's report. Ms. Treasurer?
Roll the footage, Mr. Mullenhour. So I wanted to do a fiscal 22 wrap up this evening. Thought I would do it in a little bit more of a fun fashion than typical. So you wanted to start? So this evening, we're just going to talk about the fiscal 22 recap. And then we're also going to talk about the numbers for fiscal 22. So here you'll just see we have my 5-year forecast line and description. We have the general fund, Fund 001, and Fund 16, detailed by revenue and expenditure. And then we have that total in the fiscal 22 actual column as compared then to the 5-year forecast that was presented and approved by the board in May of 22. You'll see those items outlined in green reflect positive variances of the actual to the forecast. We ended up with $916,000 more revenue. So we had a $916,000 surplus over expenditures, adding to our cash balance, $916,000, ending the year $21,727,000. And here I thought it was a more visual way to depict expenditures as percent to total. Of course, I can't see the numbers super well, but the personnel costs are almost 60%, and retirement fringes 21%. Is very typical of other districts, although we control it better than most districts. Go ahead. And then our revenues as a percent to total, you can see that our two main sources of revenue are real estate, which is line 101, and foundation revenue or unrestricted, which is 37.28. Here's the numbers. This is a little bit more fun. 3,704 students, 417 employees, 211 teachers, 4 principals, 3 assistant principals, 4 schools, $130 million in insured property limits. We have 24 payrolls a year and check runs. We have 11,889 payroll transactions totaling over 22 million. 2,551 accounts payable checks totaling nearly 15 million. 883 purchase orders. This is an interesting tidbit I'll cover in a moment. 691 covered lives for health insurance and total premiums of nearly 4.4 million paid to Lake Erie Regional Council of Governments. Just want to go back to the purchase orders. We have 883 purchase orders processed in fiscal 22. That doesn't seem like a lot of purchase orders, and it's not. We've reduced by, I don't know, probably 60% of what we had in fiscal 2018, excuse me. And that is the use of blanket and super blanket purchase orders, which just facilitate the entire purchasing process in the district. And at one point in time, it was said that a purchase order cost $75 to produce. This was probably a dozen years ago. Look at that facilitation of the district business that we are promoting, and then also reducing costs by, say, $75 per purchase order. This was just a fun way to produce some of the numbers for the board, so as not to make you fall asleep. Thank you. Any questions?
No question, it's just a comment. I think that it goes to show that when we say we are one of the largest businesses in Amherst, Ohio, those numbers certainly speak to that. When you look at the number of people that we employ, I doubt that anyone employs it's almost as many as we employ from that perspective, along with their payroll. So I think it's crucial that we understand that we are running a major business in the city of Amherst.
Okay, shall I jump into recommendations?
If you'd like.
All right, item A is for the board to acknowledge and approve or amend the board meeting minutes from June 27th, 2022. Item B includes all of the financial reports that you typically acknowledge. These obviously are all from June 2022, which reflect all of the fiscal year-end numbers. Item C are then and now invoices. The then and now invoices, the reason why we have those, it's very common at the beginning of the fiscal year to have then and now. Where we close purchase orders in June, they automatically expire typically. But they're items that kind of crossed over. We received a purchase order where we received an invoice where we closed the purchase order and may not have had a purchase order in place as of July 1. Sometimes these are the fault of the vendor and sometimes not. If you have any specific questions about any of them that have been presented in the exhibit, let me know. Item D, this is a resolution that you saw in the spring. This is from the county auditor. The board has to acknowledge the rates and amounts as presented by the county auditor. And this is due to the renewal levy passing at the beginning of May. And then item E is the receipt of donations of $8,000 worth of Bosch tools from Bosch.
So we entertain a motion for items 8A through E. We have a motion and a second. Is there comments or discussion for Amy? If there's none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mr. Zappa. Dr. Messer. Aye. Mrs. Wackel. Mr. Engel.
Aye. Moving on to the superintendent's report, Mr. Sayers.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. I just have one item this evening, and as the board is aware, this is my last meeting here in Amherst, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Education for this wonderful opportunity to serve this great school district and great, fabulous community. It's a wonderful place to be, and again, I want to thank the board for that opportunity. It's certainly been a great ride, and we take with us a lot of very, very fond memories. So we appreciate it on behalf of our family very, very much. And I also want to take this opportunity to wish everyone here, the board, Mr. Mohawk, Mr. Walker, Mr. Giaffrito, our staff, our students, and our community the very best moving forward. And certainly if there's anything we can ever do to help or support the mission of the district, please don't hesitate to call on us. We'll be there and you can count on us. So again, thank you. That concludes my report.
Any comments from Mr. Sayers this evening?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. You've done a lot for the district, and more than you will ever know. You've done a lot. We appreciate everything that you've done.
I would comment that one of my first jobs on the Board of Education when I elected was to hire a new superintendent. And the superintendent that we chose to hire was Steve. So I have worked with Steve since day one, and I will be with Steve up until day last, okay? From that perspective. And he was charged with many tasks that first year. The district was not in the shape it is today, or in the shape that it was as we progressed the last 14 years. We were in some dire straits, we had lost some levies, we had some issues, and he was charged with that. And he diligently tackled every one of those tasks that was put before him, and certainly I think that you see the rewards of that. So Steve, from my personal point of view, I want to thank you for everything you've done to improve and enhance the Amherst education process, as well as make the system known not only in the community, but throughout the state. So I thank you for all your hard work and efforts as the superintendent of the Amherst schools.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I've been so blessed. It's been a team effort. I'm surrounded by so many wonderful people. Everybody working together, that's what's made things happen. And we've just been very, very blessed. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda would be item number 10, which should be administrative committee reports. Mr. Roland.
Speaking of surrounding ourselves with great people, I just want to highlight two personnel items. The first one, I'm so pleased to have the board entertain personnel item A, where I'm recommending Sarah Walker to be the assistant superintendent in the schools. So I couldn't think of anyone more deserving and ready for this position, and just her heart and what she needs to do this with. Just continue to be a great teammate to me and further us in our path. So, Sarah, is there anything you want to share?
Just want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
And the second item is item D, because he's here in attendance. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Harrigan for a moment, because we have with us Nick Dorr, who is going to be the new dean of students. And so he came this evening, so I just wanted to actually take a moment to recognize that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, board. I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to Nick Dorr. He will be our new, in your approval, dean of students. Just a little bit about Nick. He grew up in Wellington. He attended Bowling Green and has his degree in for an intervention specialist. And then Nick also has his administrative license through Findlay, University of Findlay. But Nick started his career in Fremont in 2014. He was an intervention specialist in both their elementary grades and middle grades. He then came back our way. In 2020, he moved to Amherst, so he is a resident of Amherst, and started working in the Berea Mid-Park City Schools. And this past year, he was an administrative intern, so we are very fortunate and lucky that we now have Nick here working in his community at Nord.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be a comment and get to serve the community that I live in here. And so I really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to doing great things with Ashley at Nord and serving the students and families and getting more involved in the community here. So thank you very much. Thank you.
And then continue with my people. I went to, perfect timing.
There's seats right up here for you.
Yes.
Come on, have a seat.
Oh, wow.
Remember, Steve, just Teresa.
Surprise. So, Corey, I think I turned back over to Teresa. I've got a short video. So, is there a moment? That was amazing.
This time, we're going to take a brief recess from the meeting so that everyone can enjoy a piece of cake. And Teresa, would you be able to do it?
Yes. So we have to go all the way down to the bottom, there's other stuff besides that, so you have to take those out so everybody can see that. Is it chips?
Oh, that's great.
My favorite stress food. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's enough chips to last me at least a week. Oh, my goodness.
Marie, don't be mad at me.
That's for the dry.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my favorite flavors. Very nice.
Thought you could take that to the cabin, so you remember Ohio.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The mindset. Well, thank you very much. You don't need to open the box. I'm liable to break something.
Marie can do that later. I thought every flavor there was.
Oh. Oh, well, thank you so much. I just, I don't know what to say other than thank you. And it's just been such a wonderful ride. I just, I don't know what else to say other than thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to come up and have some cake and talk to Steve for a few minutes for cake, about 10 minutes with your recess. Right now, the actual board. If we could reconvene the meeting at 6:10 p.m., please, from the recess. Mr. Molnar, do you have anything else that you're going to talk to us this evening about in the report? Ms. Walker?
I don't have a formal report today. I just wanted to say thank you to Steve for your trust and your leadership over a decade.
Time flies when you're having
Oh,
fun.
absolutely. It's been an amazing journey, and I appreciate you making the phone call back then to ask me to come in.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. Does that mean we get more cake?
Sarah, help yourself.
Oh, Mark's eating the last piece.
Oh.
I don't know who put it here.
I was going to say, somehow I have a second piece of it.
So, any questions for Sarah this evening?
I did not.
Okay. No questions for Sarah. JVS report. Actually, I have stuff for you tonight.
Oh.
Because I knew nobody else would, so I thought I got to come up with some stuff. No. Actually, the board. Look at Dr. Nestor in there holding her head like, why? Actually, it's because the board meeting was last week for the JVS, so I attended the board meeting, so I have some stuff to talk to you about this time, other than telling you what's going to happen. I'm just going to share with you that this coming fall at the JVS, it's going to be the largest enrollment that the JVS has ever seen, okay, from that perspective. And so I just thought I would share a little bit with you. Amherst, at this present time, has 94 students going to be enrolled in JVS. 17 of them will be freshmen, 14 of them will be sophomores, 30 of them will be 11th graders, and 45 of them will be 12th graders. There was 112 applicants from Amherst to the JVS this year. Some of them are still pending because they haven't done some of the things, and some of them are on a wait list because the program that they were looking at is full from that perspective. The largest enrollment from Amherst is going to career exploration with 34 students in that, and The second largest one, I believe, from Amherst is in career readiness, which is 11 people from that perspective. Cosmetology has 5, as does heating and air conditioning. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. Auto mechanics has got 4. Welding and fabrication has 4. So it just gives you a cross-section that when we talk about, we take all of our people there, all of our freshmen there, I think it certainly pays off because when you look at that, we have 17, Avon has 3 freshmen. Avon Lake has 9, Oberlin has 5. Elyria, of course, is the leader with 27 freshmen in the program. And I would just add that when we started the freshman program, we had 14 students in the freshman program. This year, we will have 166 freshmen in the freshman program. So, Dr. Fairclough has done a phenomenal job at increasing that, and there's 184 sophomores in the program. So the ones who've gone in have stayed, and we've added some sophomores as well. So I think that that's exciting news from the JVS. So I just wanted to share with you where the numbers are as we get ready to enter that new school year out there. Okay? Any questions about that? No questions. Okay. Other reports. This isn't really a report, but we're going to do it now before we go on. Capital Conference, which is the OSBA Capital Conference, is November the 13th through the 15th. Okay? That's in Columbus, Ohio. Registration will open here in the next week or so. So we want everyone to give some thought whether or not they'll be attending, because typically we spend at least 1 night or 2 nights, depending on how many nights you would like to spend there. Typically, we would go down on Sunday night. We would have a work session as a board. And then we would be, the conference would start that afternoon if you wanted to go to any of it from that perspective. And then we would attend it during the day on Monday. And this year on Monday, Mr. Molnar, Sarah, and Amy, I do believe, is making a presentation. So they're on the schedule to do that. I don't know if they know what time yet, but they will be doing that Monday sometime. It could be morning, it could be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, let's hope not. Okay, thank you. So you need to give some thought to whether you would like to go or not. The board, of course, the school pays for the registration, pays for your lodging, pays for you to attend there from that perspective. But once you've committed, we don't like you to cancel because we need firm numbers so that we don't get charged cancellation fees. Because when the housing lottery opens, Janet is on it like fire, okay? Because we try to get as close as we can to the convention center. And the last couple of years, we've been within walking distance of that. So give that some thought, and possibly if you could let Janet or Amy know that here within the next couple of days, your thoughts on that, just so that when it happens, we're on top of that, okay? So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. It is a little bit later this year than normal, and that's because of the election date. You know, it's never held, it's always held the week after election. Typically, it's the first week of November, but because it comes in on the 1st, the election is until the 8th and 9th from there. So that's why it's the week of the 13th through the 15th. So it's really a week late. That was a big topic at the JVS meeting about being later than normal, and it's because of the election. It's always held after, it's always a week after the general election. Okay? Any questions about that?
I know that I'm gonna go, so if we write that down, Gina, if you want to definitely
I'd like an email, please.
go. All right. Email Janet.
All right. Are there any other reports that anybody has or anything that I've forgotten? If not, we will go to the personnel recommendations. Item 11.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Engel. A number of personnel items there as we prepare for the upcoming school year. I know the board's had an opportunity to review and look at these agenda items. I did want to make note of item H, which is in regards to supplemental contracts for the upcoming school year. This is not, I wanted to clarify that this is not an exhaustive list. I mean, there are still other positions that we're in the process of filling. So this is obviously a good start in getting the positions filled, but we still have some other coaching positions that we need to fill, waiting for pupil activity permits to be completed and those types of things. So I wanted to point out that clarification, and with that, would like to recommend approval of items 11A through 11P.
We have a motion and a second. Comments or discussion? I have comments. Item A. Item A is accepting a resignation for Sarah Walker, and I personally believe that we need to add an A1 to that to hire her as the assistant superintendent, because this says that we, in order to employ her as the assistant superintendent, it doesn't say that we are going to employ her as the assistant superintendent. And I don't want it to ever come back and someone saying she was never hired as the assistant superintendent. She was going to be employed, but we never took action of that. So I referred to the treasurer. So we're just going to add A1 that we would extend a contract to Sarah Walker effective August 1 to be the assistant superintendent of Amherst School District. Okay?
Withdraw that.
We don't need to withdraw. We're just going to add that A1 to that. So it's really
Two distinct
it's two
items.
different items, okay? As I read it again this afternoon, I thought, someone could challenge us that we never hired her. We accept your resignation.
Appreciate that thought.
Since Michael didn't catch that,
Nor did Steve.
I didn't blame you, Steve. I said, since Michael didn't catch that.
Between the two of us, I should have caught it.
And since agenda items, action items are the impetus for payroll action, it
We need to, yes, we'll have to have an email saying, that this is what's happening so that the payroll gets corrected. So I just want to add that to that from that perspective. So are you okay with that addition to your
Yes.
motion?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I'm really
Think about which part of it. A, 11A or 11A. All right, now it's getting warm.
Is there any other questions or comments about the personnel recommendations? Which are A through, I don't remember. P, okay? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis.
Was that for the?
Oh, Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis.
Aye.
Dr. Messer.
Aye.
Mrs. Wackels. Mr. Engel.
We have item 12, educational recommendations.
Yes, just two items there. One in regards to services for our students with special needs, and the other item is an agreement between St. Joseph's and PSI Associates. And you may recall that we're the fiscal agent for St. Joe's, and so the money flows through our school district. And wanted to clarify that as well. Would like to recommend approval of items 12A and 12B.
We have a motion and a second. Second. Is there discussion or comments on items A or B of 12? Hearing or seeing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Aye. Mrs. Wackels. Dr. Messer.
Aye.
Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Mr. Engel.
I think we have some business recommendations this evening as well.
Yes, just one item, Mr. Engel. And again, this was a program that you may recall from last year, the giving pump through the True North Energy. It's Shell stations, I believe. And we actually, those proceeds last year were deposited into our Common Slide program, which the board is obviously very aware of how successful that program has been. And our students and staff and Doug Keitel and his leadership with the entire program, it's just been phenomenal how far-reaching this program has become. So after discussing it, we thought it would be appropriate that as we promote this, we can do so with the idea that any proceeds and any money that's raised will benefit this particular program. So I know Rachel's going to work with that as part of her communications strategies and plans and those types of things, but certainly a good thing for the school district, and would like to recommend this one business item.
We have a motion and a second. And a second. Comments or discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis.
Aye.
Dr. Messer.
Aye.
Mrs. Wackel. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Mr. Engel.
So everyone knows that's the Shell station that's off of
Middle.
Broadway,
Yes.
Middle
Yes, I should
Ridge,
have
right there,
clarified, yes.
right across from Carvana.
Yep.
Okay, that's where it's located from that perspective. And I think you'll see even more activity this year than we saw last year. Just make sure if you buy it at the pump that has Amherst on it, okay? Because it's on every pump.
And they normally.
It's a nice sign.
Yeah, they try to mark it so that people see it as the giving pump and so, but yes, good point.
So as you drive by there, starting Monday, whether you need gas or not, go in and buy it. Till October 31st.
I think it through, is it September?
October 31st.
Or October 31st, okay, great.
Any other business that needs to come before the board this evening?
And just in closing, I want to say thank you so much for the gifts, the car, the video, just everything, making here. So many people that gave of their time this evening, and just so thankful. So appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
With that, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second. Is there discussion or comments on that? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gillis. Mr. Zappa.
Aye.
Dr. Messer.
Aye.
Mrs. Wackel. Mr. Engel.
Thank you all.
Thank you.